Hi, welcome to Caribou Country Lifestyle. My name is Cheryl, and today this is going to be my last garden tour. I just wanted to give you some perspective as to, I don't have one of those drones that can fly over my garden. So I was trying to think of a way that I could give you some perspective of what my garden looks like from an aerial view. And this was the only thing that I could come up with. So just let's take a look. So I'm on the top of my sea can, as you can tell. And this is my garden. I have to watch how far I'm backing up. So I have 4 shorter raised beds closest to my gate. When you're coming in, they're still 4 by 8, but they're just not as tall. And then as I get closer on this side, then I have 5 4 by 8 beds, but they are higher. And then in the very back, I have my U-shaped bed that my plan is I'm going to be removing everything from the garden over the next 3 days. So my plan is I'm gonna kind of take you along each of the beds, maybe not each of them, but a majority of the beds, and kind of show you what my plan is as far as putting my beds to rest, taking everything out of the garden. I have 3 days to get everything done that I want to have done in my garden, because after the 3 days, we're going to be getting into the -3, -4. There's a chance of snow next week. So I have a lot of work, and I have 3 days to focus on this. And so I'm going to be taking you along for however long it takes me to get all of this done. I'll be taking you along for all of it. So I hope you enjoy. So I'm starting over here on the U-shaped bed, and in this whole bed I have the sunburst patty pan squash in this corner. I do have a couple of squashes that I'm going to be bringing into the house. Next to it is the butter crunch lettuce, and this one on the right has gone to seed. That is going to the chickens, but I will pick this one on the left because it is still good. I've got some spinach here that I'm going to be picking. Then I have green zucchini and yellow zucchini in this corner. Once I've picked the different squashes and everything off of these plants, I'm going to be removing the plants, and I'm going to take them and lay them out over onto our lawn, because Jamie would like me to run over everything with the Rydam lawnmower, and it'll chop everything up for him. And I have a double bagger on the back of my Rydam lawnmower, and it'll just put everything into the bags, and we think that'll be the best way of adding this into the compost. So that's what I'm gonna start doing for today. I've got my snippers, I've got pruners, I've got my little saw, and I've got a claw to kind of work up the ground a little bit. I don't have any compost as of yet to be putting on my beds. I do have a little bit that I am going to be using, and that is I'm going to amend one of the beds for planting garlic. So I don't have any compost to amend my beds, but by spring I will have compost, and then I will amend my beds. And just what that will look like is I'll be putting a couple of inches of compost on each of the beds in the spring once everything has thawed out. So we're just gonna take out some of these squashes here. They're not really big, but they'll be definitely tasty. So I'm just removing these and put them in my basket. I only have Well, I only had one that was ready enough to be picking. I'm going to have a couple of zucchinis over here. That one is starting to go bad on the end, but I can cut that off and use the rest of the zucchini. Got a couple of little yellow ones here to add. These bunch of little ones that I've picked out here, I'm just going to give these to my chickens. I'm not going to have these for eating, so I'm just going to put these off to the side. Same with this lettuce. I just cut it off at the base, and I'm leaving the roots in the ground so they can decompose in the ground, and I'll give that to the chickens. Got another little green one, that's good for eating. And that is it. I actually haven't been out in the garden for 2 weeks now. Everything, it's been still pretty warm. Yesterday it was 21 degrees Celsius. I could not believe it. Like, we were in the 3rd week of October and 21 degrees. But I think today it's only going to get to a high of 12 degrees Celsius, and it's not going to be overly warm, but today is going to be sunny, so it's going to make things a lot warmer than it actually is. And with me working in the garden, it's going to make things warm as well. I brought my pruners so that I could cut off these sunflowers at the base and then again leave the roots in the soil so that they can decompose. So if we take a look, I've taken out my the sunburst patty pan squash. I've got my zucchinis and my squash all in this basket here. I removed the one butter crunch lettuce that went to seed. Have all the zucchinis removed. I've also removed all of the sunflowers. This plant in that pot, that is the osteospermum. I'm actually going to collect the seeds from in the buds. I already have collected some of them, so I was able to get quite a few, so I'm going to collect those ones as well. I did leave, I'm just going to get a little closer, try not to step on my dog. I did leave some of the onions in the ground, and I still have, I've left the asparagus plants that are growing in here. You actually leave your asparagus over winter in the ground. Do not pull it out because it needs to go through that knowing it's winter, and then in the spring it'll start growing. This is my dill. I'm casting a shadow on it, so I will be removing that as well. And here are my leeks. They were so covered in plants that they didn't get very big over on this side. In that pot there's another osteospermum, and it doesn't have any buds on that, so I'll just be removing those plants out of that pot. Over here we have the baby beets. I will be picking those, and my pickling cucumbers. The plants are done for, so I'll be removing those plants. And I have a couple of zinnias there and a great big one of those Detroit golden beets, and I'll be removing that, and that will get everything out of this U-shaped garden. So as you can see, I still have my tomatoes on the vine. I am removing all of these tomatoes, and I will be bringing them in the house. Now, some of these are still green, but they will, a majority of them will ripen in the house. So I will bring these in because they won't make it after the third day. When the frost hits, they're not going to make it. So, and I'm going around collecting all my tags as well. So these are my Amish paste. And then over on this side are the yellow pear. I did plant an old German, and I do have 2 old German tomatoes on this plant. I will pick them, but I don't even know if they will ripen in time. I think I'll just use this blueberry basket. I did put some of my baby beets in here, but I'll just push them off to the side, and I'm just going to use this blueberry basket. I must say, these Amish paste, I have a couple here that have dropped off of the plant onto the ground. They're really nice looking. But this is it. We are down to the crunch time. We cannot keep anything more outside. I'm actually quite happy that our season has lasted as long as it has. It has been great. I actually have today off from work, so that gave me an extra day. I'm going to give that to the chickens because it has blight on it. But I am taking out the green tomatoes, and I am taking out just every tomato. If it's really small, then I will leave it because it's not going to amount to anything. You can use green tomatoes. You can make green tomato mincemeat, and it's actually nicer than the mincemeat that you buy in the store. I find the mincemeat that you buy in the store is quite strong. But you can do a green tomato mincemeat with the green tomatoes, and if you have apples, so it's basically ground up green tomatoes and apples with a bunch of different seasonings, like I think cinnamon and nutmeg and allspice, cloves, stuff like that, and there's butter in it. I can't remember exactly everything that goes in the recipe, but it's actually quite nice. I got that recipe from my mom, so I am thankful for that recipe. This one I'll give to the chickens. The chickens are definitely going to be getting a feast today with everything that I'm putting in there that they can have. More strips, I should say. So I've cut that off. And then I'm just going to throw that on the lawn and run over it with the lawnmower. So hopefully that works. Hopefully I don't kill my lawnmower by doing this. So we'll have to see how that pans out for me. Okay, bed number 2 is complete, or as complete as I plan on having it. I have left the Elsa Craig onions in there. I also left my curled parsley in here, and then we have the Toscano kale and also the green dwarf curled kale, and I have left my celery. I have picked a lot of celery off of these plants, so I plan on harvesting the rest of this celery. Probably on the 3rd day I will come back and get the celery, because I don't know if it can handle any frost at all. I'll have to look into that and see if it can handle a light frost also. So we are going to move on to the next bed. Actually got quite a few yellow pear tomatoes. Half of them are green, but I picked the biggest ones and I'll let them finish ripening in the house. And then I got some pretty nice sized Amish paste, and then a few green ones as well. So over here I have my Brandywine tomatoes, and then I also have my Carnival Blend tomatoes, which is a family of the Brandywine. Again, I'm going to remove the tomatoes. I'll pull out the plants. I have nasturtiums on each side. I'm removing the nasturtiums as well. On the other side, I have my rutabagas. Now, my rutabagas I am going to leave in here. They can handle not a lot of frost, so -1, -2. and then I will have to harvest them as well. So I'm not in a big hurry to pull them out as of yet. Some are looking really, really good, but I will be just removing the tomatoes and the nasturtiums. I have a sunflower on that side, and I also have the calendula. I will be removing any flowers as well. So this is my next bed that I will be doing. So we have quite a few of the Brandywine that are looking lovely. I've been really happy with these bigger tomatoes. The production of them has been amazing. And this is the Carnival Blend. So you never know what color it's going to be. Got ourselves, it looks like it's going to be a yellow or an orange color. And I'm just going to pick these big green ones too. Don't need the excess plant on here. Just anything. Oh, there's one tucked in behind this. A couple of them tucked in behind that rutabaga leaf. I probably wouldn't have even seen it. And I am just taking all the plants out, or all the tomatoes out, I should. I have a lot of canning to do. I did the seasoned tomato sauce, and I don't know, it seemed kind of watery to me, so I've never made tomato sauce before, so I'll have to try again and see if I can't maybe boil it longer to work it on down. Oh my goodness. Look at this mess of a tomato. That is like a gnarly looking tomato. That's crazy. That is one of those fasciated blossoms where you have like 2 or 3 blossoms that are fused together, and that's what happens. It has that cat facing on the tomato. Very ugly looking, but it's cool too at the same time. My husband keeps saying, so now what are you gonna make? So now what are you gonna make? Because I've already done salsa, and I've done my some canned tomatoes, and then I also did the seasoned tomato sauce. So my next one that I want to do, and I'm going to be using all paste tomatoes for that, because I want to make a tomato paste. And I don't want to use the slicers, because I think I would run into the same problem that I ran into with the tomato sauce, that it's not going to thicken up as quickly as it would if I used a paste tomato instead. So we are done bed number 3, and all I have left in here are the Walla Walla onions, and then I have my rutabagas. And these rutabagas are looking really good. Like, I'll just lift up these leaves here. Like, that is quite a nice sized rutabaga in there. I've got some more, a couple of smaller ones over here that are growing in there, and then I have a couple more on this side. If I lift them up, you can see the rutabagas. They look really nice. Okay, on this side I have, these are the Big Bertha peppers, and I was letting them get as big as I could with the amount of time that I've had for these. Oh, here's my snips. So I just want to show you, like, that one's not huge, but it's bigger than what it was. And I'm just going to cut these out. This one's a little bit bigger, but still not huge. But I just wanted to let them get a little bit bigger before I ended up having to harvest them. And I will just use them in a recipe as well. I'm not exactly sure what my plans are for these little peppers, and I'm just going to put them in with my little squashes that I have, and then I will just cut these off at the base. Oh, another one down here. Not a bad size. Definitely needed longer time to develop. On this other side, these are the California Wonder peppers, and again I have a couple of little ones in here, but I will use them in something done for anyway. So I'm going to put all these peppers into my basket, and then I have my pruners here. Cut this off at the base. These are one of those ratchet style pruners, so they will give you 3 cuts. If it's really thick, you cut it the first one, it'll cut it so far, and then you release it a little bit, and then you cut the second cut, it'll cut it even more, and then you make the third cut to do the final. That one only needed 2 cuts. And I'll remove this plant. Really nice plants though, very healthy plants. And then I've got my California Wonder. Still got some eeny-weeny babies, but they're not big enough to amount to anything now. And that one. And then I'll just remove these tomato cages, put them back into my garden shed, and then they'll be ready for next year. Okay, I've already removed the sunflower from over on this side, and I had my black velvet nasturtium, and I've removed that too. These are the Aunt Ruby's German green, and I almost feel bad cutting these tomatoes off because the plants still look, I mean, they're still producing out the tomatoes, they're still ripening them. So I've got some really nice, has been a very nice tomato as far as production goes, and beautiful tomatoes, like absolutely beautiful. And lots of them. Got some green ones. And I'm not going to be able to put very many more tomatoes in here. I'm on my second layer, and they are just getting so heavy that I don't want them to squish the tomatoes underneath. So I'm going to have to find a box to put more of my tomatoes in, because I've still got like a lot of tomatoes to pick. This is the black Krim tomatoes. As well, I've got a few tucked in behind here of the black Krim. Oh, I got a big one here. I can't get it from this side. I'll have to go to the other side, but I'll get these ones. There's 3 really big ones. Well, 2 really big ones. The third one wasn't quite as big. Oh, I've got another Aunt Molly's. Like, that's a nice, so big. I just can't believe how big they are. I'm so impressed. Oh, I barely got that through that little square on the panel. Okay, so in this bed, on this side, I have my bull's blood beets and my cylinder beets, and these are the beets that I planted right at the very beginning of the season, at the beginning of May. So I am actually going to pull these all out, take the tops off of them. I'm going to give the tops to the chickens, and then I will take the beets inside, clean them up, and I plan on doing up some pickled beets. Plus I want to do some fermented beets and carrots as well. So that is my plan for these. not sure how big these are. Some of these are still a little on the small side, and that's okay. I found a couple more boxes that I could use for getting more tomatoes, and then I found a box for my beets also. Have to get them out because we're supposed to be getting snow next week. Look at that cylinder beet. That's really nice. And like I say, I planted these the beginning of May, and the other ones, I think I planted them about 2 or 3 weeks later. I'd have to go back, and that's the great thing about making these videos, is that you can go back and see exactly when it was, the date that you had made the video, to see when you had planted these things. Because that was not something that I kept a record of. It seems like I keep really good records of everything when I'm starting seeds inside and how they're coming along, but then once I get them in outside, I don't keep a record of really anything. I don't write anything down, which is probably not good, but because I make these videos, I can go back and look at the videos and see exactly when I did plant my other beets. So, and I have picked quite a bit of beets out of here already. I've already been thinning them out, and I've given a lot away to some family and friends as well. Not a ton. Last year I think I gave more away last year than I have this year. I've been using it up a lot better than I did last year. I have already picked my Indigo Rose tomatoes. I was on the phone with my oldest son. We're dealing with a bit of trauma. My oldest son has gone to Vancouver. We were actually in Vancouver last weekend, and that's why I didn't do anything in the garden last weekend, because we weren't here. And my youngest son, Jaden, lives in Vancouver, and his partner hasn't been doing very good. His partner has cancer, and he's been going through chemo treatment for the cancer. And we went down to Vancouver at the beginning of September, and he wasn't looking that great. And right after that weekend that we went, because we went to the Ed Sheeran concert, and right after that weekend that we were down there at the beginning of September for the September long weekend, my son's partner went into the hospital because he was having so much pain, and he actually has been in the hospital ever since. Unfortunately, things are not looking very good for him. I've been sticking close to the phone, and doing this garden work has kind of kept my mind off of thinking about these things, but it's not looking very good at all. And I feel so bad for the whole family, like for my son. My oldest son is best friends with my youngest son's partner, and so he has gone down to Vancouver to be there for my son Jaden, and also for Jake, his partner. And now they've put him in palliative care, and they're not sure. They're saying it could be hours, it could be days. So it's a really, really, really hard thing to watch somebody go through. I mean, when my mom was in palliative care, she was 72. So you kind of, it doesn't make it any easier, but you kind of expect it at 72. But, I mean, Jake's, 27, 28 years old? You don't expect it for then. And my heart goes out to everyone there that's having to go through this, because it's just not a good thing to have to watch. especially when it's your child. And yeah, I feel a lot of deep sorrow for the whole family concerned, because I know it was really hard when my mom was in a coma and I lost my mom. So anyways, I found another box for some more tomatoes. Thank goodness I had a box in the back of the shop. I've already picked the indigo tomatoes, and I have, maybe I'll pick these too. I'm not picking the really small ones. I'm going to leave those on the plant, and I'm just going to cut off these ties so that when I go to cut the plant off at the base, I just have to remove the plants. Another thing my oldest son had told me, that when he went to Vancouver and he saw Jake, nobody knew what Jake wanted. How would they? I mean, when you're that young, you expect to outlive your parents. But he told my oldest son, Calvin, that he wanted to be cremated, and he wanted to have his ashes spread over or around Bella Coola area. It's somewhere where he went fishing all the time, loved fishing, did a lot, the fly fishing, river fishing. Like, even his own mom didn't know that. And why would she? She would be preparing for what she wants done when she is no longer around, to, have those arrangements put in place. So when Calvin told her that, she kind of said, well, that makes sense. So I just feel so bad for the whole family. It's just so hard to have to deal with anything like that. Any loss is hard. So these are my New Girl tomatoes, and I've only got a few, not quite as many as I have had on my other plants. I've been out here for about 3 hours now so far, and this is the last higher raised bed, the 4x8. I have 5 of these, so this is my last of the 5th, and I did that U-shaped bed as well. So I actually have to pick my oldest son up from the airport because he's coming back from Vancouver today. He's been there for a couple of nights now, and he has decided that he needs to come back. Here, these are the Old German, and just look at the coloring on these. Just the red and the orange streaking that's going through these tomatoes. Like, it looks amazing. Like, just such a beautiful tomato. So I will just snip all of these off. Some of them have split a little bit as well, but it won't affect their taste. On this side, this is the Cherokee Purple. And I'll just cut a few off of here too. Like, they are really nice. And I'm probably going to end up doing some more canned tomatoes. One year I did, it was Italian diced tomatoes, and you're just putting in the different herbs, and actually they turned out pretty good. I got all of these. And I got another one that I can get from this side. So I think I'm at the end here. Half full. So, okay. Another plastic strip right there, and another one right there. I don't want it to be in my compost, and I don't want it to be in the soil either. Okay, now we'll remove these and throw them out on the lawn, and then I'm going to take these tomatoes in and I'm going to have some lunch.